of market volatility, Chief Executive Hugh Grant said today in a statement. Grant is introducing new modified seeds that boost yields as part of a plan to double gross profits from 2007 to 2012. The new soybeans, which resist Monsanto's Roundup herbicide, produces 7.4% more soybeans per acre than the older version. Smart Stacks kills insects in multiple ways, reducing the amount of conventional corn that must be planted to deter insecticide resistance. Smart Stacks pricing is higher than we initially expected, Vincent Andrews, a New York-based analyst at Morgan Stanley, said today in a report. Monsanto rose 1.57 or 1.9% to $84.03 at 4:15 in the New York Stock Exchange. Smart Stacks corn seeds will be planted on as many as 4 million acres in 2010 in the first year of the market. Pricing for Smart Stacks is at the high end of expectations, a New York-based analyst said. Roundup Ready 2 yield soybeans were planted on 1.5 million acres this year and will be planted on as many as 8 million acres next year. The rising in the price is to reflect the difference in the yield, and in essence, we are splitting the value of the extra yield 50-50. Gully said by telephone. So here we've got Monsanto, which have patented life. They've been given the opportunity to patent seeds, and they're going to raise the price as much as 42%. This was reported this past week by Bloomberg. Had you seen this, or your thoughts on it, Brian?
I had seen that headline, and again, this is a consolidation. Of course, monopolizing any market gives you the ability to charge pretty much whatever you want. And just as a reminder, folks, Roundup Ready, these crops are doused with Roundup at least twice a year. I mean, keep in mind, you're eating that. These plants absorb the Roundup, go into it, and that's ultimately what you wind up eating.
Yeah, so we're going to discuss this a little further. We will go to the phones. We've got a call from John in North Carolina. You're on the Real News, sir.
I'm calling pertaining to the health plan. About three things they could do, and it would probably solve a whole lot of the problems, would be have court reform to limit lawyers suing $250,000. And if a legal goes to the emergency room, pay like the rest of us. Why should we pay full price and they pay nothing?
Yes, sir, I agree.
I think it's time for we Americans wake up and shake up the system. Thank you.
Hey, we appreciate you calling in. I agree with you 100%. Just like Thomas Jefferson said, when half the population's working so the other half don't, the free ride needs to come to an end here.
Yeah, I mean, my ancestors were literally here in the United States way before it was the United States. And here, illegals can come in, like John just stated, free health care.
Get Social Security.
Yeah.
Get retirement benefits. I mean, it's the inmates have taken over the asylum. The American people, and I agree 100% with John, it's time for them to wake up. They need to shake up. Maybe this economic collapse will do it, but it's high time we take our country back. Our government's been hijacked by criminals. Well, on the Monsanto, and again, if you'd like to call in, we'd love to hear from the listeners. This is a forum for you to give your opinions. The number again is 1-866-986-6397. Just to finish up on the Monsanto, people really need to look at what's going on with Monsanto and the control that they're exerting over food.
Yeah, and Monsanto is one of the worst for sure, but this is an industry, genetically modified organisms. I mean, look into this. We have just extraordinary technology here, and I'm definitely 100% for the technology, just not unleashing it into the environment 100% unregulated with very little testing. Self-regulating industry has proven itself just not to work, and that's essentially what we have here, self-regulating industry.
Oh, I agree 100%.
To go back into healthcare here a little bit, this is an article from Reuters. Miserable healthcare system in U.S. traps people in lousy jobs. As many of you out there listening can probably fully agree with, as many as half the workers in the United States may be trapped in jobs they would like to leave out of fear of losing their health insurance. Experts say this phenomenon, known as job lock, is not only making people unhappier, but also stifling the innovation that could emerge if people were able to freelance or work for smaller companies. We can definitely say that it's slowing down the rate of innovation, said economist Tim Kaine with Kaufman Foundation. The most common source of health insurance in the United States is private insured purchase, at least in part by an employer. The costs of private insurance mean that many small companies unable to qualify for the bulk discounts that big companies command simply cannot afford to offer their employees insurance. The situation is even more dire for self-employed workers who are responsible for the full cost of their insurance. I would rather be freelancing, no question, said public relations professional Jessica Trolliver. I got my work done in less time, but once I finished what I had to do, the time was my own. When Trolliver was a freelancer, however, the insurance cost for her family ran an astonishing $1,200 a month. As an employee, she pays only $200 a month. An estimated 20 to 50% of all workers in the United States are trapped in job lock due to health insurance fears. The significance of this number is brought home by the fact that only 60% of the U.S. population has work-based health insurance, meaning that for between 33 and 83% of workers with job-based health coverage, this insurance is the only thing keeping them in their jobs. While President Barack Obama has promised an overhaul of the U.S. healthcare system, the problem of job lock is likely to remain. Private health insurance remains the foundation of Obama's reforms.
Well, I think, if we just look at the history of our country and the effectiveness of our government to manage our economics, our monetary system, our budgets, the Cash for Clunkers program, the veterans hospitals. We do not want the government running our healthcare system.
The government, in my opinion here, I'm just speaking in very generalized terms, is much better at a regulatory body than actually a managerial body.
We will see rationing of healthcare. I'm sure everyone has heard the legislation about the death panels and some of the scarier ends of what they're proposing, but we do not. That is not the role of the government to be our big brother. We don't need to be sucking on the teat of the giant government sow, and that's what's got us into this mess, is the government handling our monetary system, passing it over to the Federal Reserve banking system. All these bailouts are unconstitutional. It's not what a free society and a democratic society is supposed to do. It's socialism in action, and we're getting more of it. It's hard to find anyone that really is for this managed Obamacare. But I wouldn't be surprised if it passes. I mean, they can pass it. The Democrats don't need Republicans in either house to pass it, correct? They can pass it.
That's something I've noticed, too. You just haven't seen the unity among the Democrats here during this, as, for example, you did see with the Republicans during the war.
The Patriot Act, that kind of thing. They were, look at what's happening when they go out to have their town hall meetings. They are actually, the American people are actually rising up, as John said, and
whereas a war, for example, didn't necessarily affect them directly here in the United States. That's over there. That's, out of sight, out of mind. But this is right in my face, my health care.
And at the time, the media was proposing all the lies of the Bush administration, and people believed it, so they backed the war. Now, of course, all the truth is coming out, but it's too late. Well, look at Barack Obama. He campaigns he's going to bring the troop home day one. And now not only is he strengthening Afghanistan, we're staying in Iraq, but he's going into Pakistan, and he's not even telling the people a good reason for doing that, so he's just continuing to fail policies of the Bush administration. We're coming up on a break. We're going to start out next hour with the swine flu report, and we will be taking phone calls from our listeners. Again, you can email us on at realnewsradio.com, and we will be back after a word from our sponsors.
This is Real News Radio, exposing government corruption, defending our Constitution, demanding the rights of we the people, broadcasting the truth the puppet media dare not report. Long live liberty and death to the New World Order. Prepare yourself. This is Real News Radio with your host, Farron.
Hello, and welcome to the Real News Radio.